Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to REI Nation Facebook live conversation this afternoon. I want to thank everybody for joining us. This is another one of our Wednesday scheduled. I know I missed last week. I think I was out of town, but we're back up today, and I know Chris is on a couple of times a week. And today I'm going live today on our Facebook group with a couple of our investors, and we're going to let them do a lot of the talking today about how it's been. So I want to thank all of our audience for joining us this afternoon. I have two great guests, Jessica Steele and Karin, Rumie, and they will talk to us in a few minutes about their experiences. I want to just remind everybody to hit the like button if you don't mind, and or hit the love button. It helps Facebook send more people to our site. Today we have over 12, I think getting close to 1,250 people on our site, made up of current REI investors, maybe some other investors from some other companies, maybe some new investors thinking about getting on or engaging with REI. And so we try to share really good content with you guys. Bring experienced people on that have been doing real estate investing and talking to them about their experiences and why at REI that we think experience matters so much. We've been doing this now for 17 years, and we have over 6,200 properties today, over 2,000 investors, over 350 investors in our WOW group, and they own 2,400 properties. And so we've got a little bit of experience with this industry. We think we have a pretty good idea of what's going on. Are we right for everybody? Probably not. We try to make the experience for our investors great. And so we'll hear from these two ladies and see how things are going with them in real estate and how we're doing for them, and things that we can bring you some good content here with these two guests today. So with that in mind, let me start with maybe Jessica. Jump out here and tell us a little bit about how long you've been investing in real estate and how long have we been doing business together, and a little bit about your experiences, ma'am.
Yeah, sure. So started in real estate about 15 years ago. Did some long-term and short-term vacation rentals in the Orlando and Kissimmee area. Sold those in the 2008, kind of as like the market, we had some properties that doubled in value, and I said, this is not normal, and we kind of cashed out. And we found you guys, I want to say 7 or 8 years ago, and jumped right in. I really like the concept of white glove real estate service provider. And that's all of, besides our primary residence, we have some properties with you guys, and then we have some that we have with other companies. And we've been really delighted with the service we've gotten from REI Nation.
So when you first started with us, you had, I think, Ashley Clonch, right?
Ashley was our coordinator. Yep.
How did she do for you?
She was great. She helped us with, coordinating properties that were in the, price range that we were looking for. Yeah. Super responsive. And we worked with her when we were actively purchasing properties. And we've been, Carol is our service rep who
customer
calls
service
us.
rep. Yeah. How does she do for you?
I love her. She's incredible. She calls like clockwork. I've gotten to know her and gotten to know her family, which is, very important from a relationship type of standpoint with business. I have my own business, and I know how much relationships matter for maintaining the longevity of working with a client. So she does a phenomenal job with that.
Well, Jessica, when we used to go out and travel, I don't know if you've ever been to any of our events or not, when we were traveling around the country, I'd stand on stage and we would talk about our customer service rep will call you every month to update you on your property, good, bad, or indifferent. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people would ask other investors in the room, do they really do that? Do they really call you every single month? So how many years have you been with us?
I want to say 7.
And Carol called, does she
every
call
month?
you every single month?
Talk about in November we talk about how we're going to be making our Thanksgiving turkeys. So I mean, like, we get in the weeds. She's awesome. I know I'm, excited. She's had grandbabies, and she's, that relationship is something that I look forward to her phone call every month to kind of hear what's going on with the property, what's going on. Good, bad, or indifferent, because sometimes the calls are amazing. We renewed, or sometimes they're not so good. Something broke. But it's you're not left in the cold. You're not left on your own. There's a lot of that white glove kind of approach to how you handle your
Well,
clients.
we always, I talked a couple of weeks ago about how I think the customer service is a really important to me personally. And a lot of times when we started that back 10 years ago, people laughed at us that we would allocate money just for somebody to call the customers. Okay. And to me, that's the key to success, not in our business, but in any business it is.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have a restaurant and you call your clients back the next day and ask them how the meal was, man, they're going to tell everybody. All right. They said, nobody does this. Okay. And I wanted to do something that nobody does, that people would talk about. And 7 or 8 years later, you're sitting here saying,
talking about
yeah,
Thanksgiving
they
recipes.
call me every month. Okay.
Yeah.
Why it works, because we care. And like you said, it's always not going to be perfect. It could be a maintenance call, or it could be a new 2-year lease. And so we have 7 ladies down there now that are in the customer service department. And each one of them have about 300 customers that we call every single month. And a lot of them, the good part about it is when you said that we talk about other things other than real estate, a lot of this has become, a lot of people have built these relationships over the years just through the phone, talking to each other. And so I thank you for that comment. And but let me go to Karin. Karin, tell us a little bit about yourself and how it all started in real estate and maybe with us.
Yeah, sure. So my husband and I started investing in real estate around 2010. We were both working full time. I was a CPA. He's in sales. And so he's kind of, my husband is like the vision, and I'm more like the details. And so around 2008, 2009, after the crash, he started saying, we got to start buying. So, we had been saving a lot. And so we took the opportunity and we just bought homes in Miami that were, that were basically, taken over by the bank. So, we would bid on homes. So we started with 4 homes. And then over a period of about 5 to 10 years, we acquired another 5 condo units. And then at some point, I left my job. I was helping to care for his aging parents. I left my job, so I was able to spend more time on the real estate. And we'd always wanted to invest out of Florida. The South Florida market was getting really, the prices were just getting too out of control, and it wasn't as profitable as it used to be. So we were looking to invest out of state, but we didn't really feel like we had the knowledge, and of course with working and the kids and the in-laws, it's not like we could just pick up and travel wherever. So around that time, I was listening to a lot of podcasts, and I started reading the blogs on, I think, Bigger Pockets. So I think I found you guys on a podcast. I think maybe one of you all were on a podcast, and I really liked, the concept. And so I did, some more research and found that you guys had good reviews. And then I spoke with Mark Cobb, who helped us out. And I think we bought our first property in October of 2019. So we're fairly new to this. We bought 1 property in Dallas, and then we had to sell my in-laws' home, and we were able to do a 1031 exchange, and we were able to roll that over into 2 more properties with you guys. And then I think at the beginning of 2020, we bought our 4th property in Houston. And then I just signed yesterday a contract for our 5th property. So, we've again, we've only been with you guys for less than a year, but so far it's worked out well for us. I also have a great contact. It's Michelle. And at the beginning, they call, I think it's every week, and then it's every 2 weeks before it gets to the month. So she was, calling me every Friday, answering all my questions. And, that like Jessica said, I find that helpful because even though I feel comfortable that you guys are there, overseeing things, it still makes me feel better to speak with someone. Especially when the COVID hit, there were a lot of questions and I was able to talk to her, and, she kind of has more knowledge about the tenants. I'm used to talking to all my tenants in Miami all the time. So it felt good to have Michelle there. So that's kind of like my story, I guess, our story.
That's fantastic. And so you have Mark Cobb, who, as a portfolio advisor, has been with
Yes.
us a long, long time, sold a lot of houses, does a great job, has
Yeah.
many clients, he gets many referrals. Then Michelle, and you said something interesting there that I just want to, that any investor that's new with us, that we do call them once a week for the first 4 weeks.
Right.
And then we go to a couple times and then eventually once a month. But over 50% of our investors have never seen their houses. They've never seen them. And so this is another reason why I think the customer service side aspect of this is so important. And we talked to you, and I heard so many horror stories over the years about property management companies that you couldn't get a hold of anybody. They wouldn't return your call. You can't find out any information. So again, we decided that we were going to take that and flip it around and be on the offense with that. And it's just like kind of like sometimes in the stock market, when you have stocks and they go down, you try calling your broker, you can't get him because
Right.
the whole market went down and he's gone for the day. All right. So here I just wanted to do it a different way, and I'm glad to hear that. And you got a really good one in Michelle that will walk you all the way through and answer any of the questions, get you the answers you need very quickly, and perform at a high level for you and getting you the answers. So, Jessica, what advice would you give any new listener on here that was thinking about getting into single family residences and going through the experience of buying a house and working with a property management company and working with a portfolio advisor, whether it's single family houses or whatever type of real estate? What advice would you give somebody?
For advice, I mean, like we typically we look at the properties and we kind of say like, does it have a little bit of curb appeal? It's not going to be necessarily where you're going to live. And what's the cap rate on it? And those are really the two things that we're looking at. We'll do a Google Street kind of search to kind of see what the neighborhood looks like. But I'm one of the 50% that has never seen the properties that we own, and I'm totally fine with that because I'm very comfortable with the relationship you guys have built. The checks come every month, and that's what I'm looking for. As an entrepreneur, there's so much risk, and I like that real estate really can help to mitigate that risk. To me, everything that we have with Memphis Invest, and your old name was Memphis Invest, but REI Nation that's like essentially our pension. So, once those properties are paid in full, it's just the cash flow. And that's what we're looking to build is more and more cash flow. Everything else is, the stock market can go up, can go down. But at the end of the day, you always have that hard asset in the real estate, and everybody always needs a roof over their head.
So you got the hard asset over here, you got it bought. How important is the property management side of that? Now that you got it bought?
Yeah, it can make it or break it. And we've had, and from experiences where we've had like long-term vacation rentals, and comparing it and even to other properties that we have that are not managed by you guys are the gold standard in terms of like how well everything is handled and how transparent you are with the status of the properties, the status of the renters, the status of the facilities and maintenance type of things that occur. So it's, you're not always going to get good calls. Sometimes things break. Sometimes renters go haywire. But at the end of the day, there's insurance for things. There's, and you have a property that you have a title towards, to kind of hedge against, all the craziness that's going on in the world.
Sure, sure. Well, Karin, what advice would you give anybody new out there, and as far as jumping into real estate, or what got you started in this thing back in October? What pushed you right to there?
Well, out of necessity, really, because I've never had any experience with a property manager before. The 10 properties that we have in Miami, I manage them. So every repair, every late payment, it's just me and my husband, but I'm the one who has the tenant relationship. So obviously it came to a point where we were either, there's only so much time we had to allocate. My husband still works full time. So it was just out of wanting to expand, but not doing it in a way that really was going to put me right back to when I was working all those hours full time. So we wanted to grow our business. We want to leave a legacy for our kids, but not at the expense of, of killing ourselves. So that's what I like about real estate. It's still a job like any other job. It still has its ups and downs, but I think I'm a big fan of owning real estate. And just, I would say for anyone looking to get in is do your research, because like you mentioned before, I did read on the blogs a lot of the horror stories, and it's sobering. So I felt like when I researched you guys, I felt confident. I feel like I want to be in a company where the well-being of the tenants and the investors are one, because I guess if you guys are making money and are doing well, our investors will, and your investors will, and vice versa. And then as far as like choosing properties, like Jessica, we would do like a Google map search and just kind of look around the neighborhood to see, we really like the blue collar is the strategy that we use in Miami, the types of properties. So it's a very similar strategy that we're already using. But yeah, do some research on the neighborhood. Sometimes we would pull local newspaper articles about stuff that was going on. And then I like the spreadsheets that are sent with each property. Sometimes we'll even change the numbers to reflect, worst case scenario type of things.
Of course.
And so, that way we have a realistic, idea of what we're getting into. So I think, other than that.
Well, how about the property? So obviously you have a lot of experience with 10 properties, and you got tenants and toilets and all of that stuff there that you have. How important is the property management side of it when you looked at REI and Premier, and how important was that to you?
Oh yeah, it was very important, because it's, like that's your asset. It's everything. So if I needed to feel secure that I'm in Miami, and really, I've got your company basically protecting our asset, our nest egg, or what have you. So that to me is very important. Of course, the fact that you guys have the inventory, and that is great, but at the end of the day, I feel like we could do that ourselves, but it's the property management aspect that I trust. And so that was a good reason.
When we kind of got into the Premier or the property management side of it our first 200 or 300 properties, we were a terrible property management company, terrible. And then finally, when we hit 400 or 500, we realized this was going to probably grow. We better get the right systems and infrastructure in this property management side of it, or we won't be in business very long. And so we had to we hired the right people, and Nate Gray handles or heads up that department for us, does a great job. He has a team of probably Memphis, Dallas, all the cities, probably 30 some people that work in our property management, maybe more in our property management side of the business, plus all our outside rental agents that rent the houses. And so we have a great team in that department that, yeah, the property management company is the one that, and all the customer service ladies like Carol and Michelle, they get all their information that they report back to you from the property management company on what's going on with and we call them residents instead of tenants. We changed that a few years ago because, again, we want to, like, as you said, we want to make sure that our resident has a great experience. And so we talk about 4 groups of people, and I've said this over and over and over again on videos here, that we service our vendors, we service our investors, we service our residents, and we service our staff, our team. And we have 4 groups of people, and if we can make all of those groups happy and manage all those, we're going to have a really, really good business. And that's what we've been able to do. But those residents and our people will tell you throughout our company, if any of them were in this room with me today, they would tell you the most important job in our company is renting houses. There is no other job. Mm-hmm. That's more important than that. There's no IT, there's no buying houses, there's no selling houses. There's nothing that's more important than renting houses. Because if we don't rent houses, we don't have happy investors.
Right.
We have pissed off investors if we don't rent houses, okay? So today with 6,200 plus properties, I think at 1 o'clock this afternoon, we had 49 vacancies out of 6,200, which is pretty good. I don't know if that's about 99 something, okay? And I don't know what the nationwide average is, but I'm pretty sure it's not 99. So we take high priority to renting those houses. But let me ask, Karin, let me come back to Karin. Let me ask you a question. What one piece of advice would you give any new investor listening to this today that maybe was on the fence, about getting into real estate, maybe on the fence about REI, maybe on the fence about turning a property over to a property management company? What one piece of advice would you give to somebody that's thinking about getting into real estate today that may watch this?
I would just say to just take the first step, whatever that may be for you, because, just the indecision is so expensive, not to jump in, with your eyes closed, but, do the research, but just take one step. And maybe for that person is, getting one property with REI Nation or something like that, and just kind of seeing how that goes, or vice versa, or they can do it on their own. But yeah, that I would just say, just take action, pull the trigger. Indecision is just not good these days.
I like that, what you said. I'm going to remember that. Indecision is so expensive.
Yeah.
Very, very well put. Jessica, what advice would you give anybody out there? You've been doing this for a while. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm similar. I think the first property is always the hardest to buy, just because you got to get over your own self and your own preconceived notions of what's involved. And companies like REI Nation have really solid systems that you're not the first pancake. The first pancake always kind of is a little bit wonky. And they've been doing it thousands of times and making those calls hundreds of times a month. So to this, do research on the property management side of it. If you're not going to do it yourself, if life's too busy, if you're raising, children, if you're, running a business, you're not going to have the cycles to get in the weeds with fixing toilets and calling maintenance and getting all of that type of work done. And is that your highest and best use? And for me, that answer was no. And but I know that real estate's important, and, partnering with a company that's super transparent and has your best interest at heart is always, a step in the right direction. So.
Very good. Karin, let me ask you, I know you're in Steamboat Springs today. Tell me what you and your family do for hobbies when you're not working in Miami, and what's the fun thing? I know you got to get away from real estate sometimes.
Yeah. Well, we we love skiing, so we come here in the winter and this in spring. We all five of us now are ski together, so that's kind of nice. Um, and then in the summer, God, there's so much to do here. Boating, bike riding. My husband and son are avid mountain bike riders, and even in Miami, they have some parks that they go to. Um, I love to read too and write, so I spend a lot of time doing that. And yeah, just being together.
Jessica, you're in southern New Hampshire.
Yeah.
What are your things that you like to do?
Yeah, so similar to Karin, I have four children. My husband's a merchant marine, so he's out to sea, and I
Wow.
am yeah. I'm a managing partner at an Amazon optimization agency called Color More Lines. So that takes up a lot of my time running that business. We have a team of 30 people, so that and similar, like the kids love going to the beach. Everybody mountain bikes and skis, so we have similar interests.
Yeah.
Mountain biking is an expensive hobby, so that's why you need to have real estate
Right.
to be able to pay for these expensive bikes.
Yeah, true.
Well, let me see if you all had any questions for me today, and I have maybe one more question for each one of you guys. And anything about REI or our people or our company or anything that I could answer for you?
I don't know if it's particular to REI, but one of the things I'm trying to do some research on and is more like on the ownership structure. And I was just curious if some of your investors, do they mostly invest in their own name, or do you see a lot of people investing, with LLCs, and if so, having separate LLCs for each entity and for each property? I mean, those are some of the questions that that I have in my on my
It's a
mind.
really good question, and we get asked that a lot. And a lot of people have their own outside CPA company or financial arm that helps them. We have people that buy it in their own name, they put it in an LLC. Then we have people that quit claiming into the LLC after they get their loan and different things on that. We always try to be very careful about, because we're not an attorney and we're not a CPA,
Right.
so we always refer people to, I can talk in generalities about it like I just did, but specifically we always encourage people to talk to somebody we're qualified to talk to you about real estate and property management company, but when it comes to
Yeah.
suggesting, because different states have different situations,
Right.
and whether it's the state that you live in or the state that the properties are in, and we're in 7 different cities now. I think it's 3 or 4 different states that we're in, but that's a really, really good question. And it's something as you continue to grow your portfolio, you want to make
Right.
sure you have all of that estate planning lined up and buttoned
Right.
up really tight for you. Very, very good. Jessica, do you have a question or anything?
I always want to see if you guys are going to offer multifamilies like duplexes and triplexes. That's something that would be interested in seeing.
Well, we're always looking, and we have opportunities, but over the years, we've found that the single family resident, and we have a couple of duplexes probably spread out somewhere, but the single family is the thing that we've always drilled down on. Back early on, we found out, and we looked at some small apartment units, 4, 8, 12, 16 units, and we found out we just couldn't buy them at a good enough price to renovate them and sell it to an investor for them to be able to make money too. And that's occasionally you can find duplexes that are really good prices. I think we bought a couple of triplexes over the years, but small apartment buildings now, especially in the economy that we're in today, where so many people are now leaving some cities to rent in other cities or whatever, and these apartment houses today, they're getting top dollar for them. And so it's hard to buy let's say we bought a 12-unit apartment complex and renovate 12 units and still have enough profit in there for us and for the investor to be able to get a good ROI and a good return. So, but you're exactly right. Jessica, that's something that if you can find them out there, they're little gold mines out there if you can find them, and they're out there. They're just harder to find. But that's a really good strategy there. So let me kind of wrap this up and tell you guys on behalf of the Clothier family, I really appreciate you guys. It would have been a little over 30 minutes here jumping on here with me. It's a real treat for our group to hear from you guys and hear some of the stories that go on and how you guys have been successful at what you do and continue success. So do y'all have any final thoughts? Let me maybe ask, what's the one thing about REI that the one shining moment that REI has that you guys really like, if there is one?
I was like,
besides Carol and Michelle.
Carol. My answer to everything is Carol. I love, if you've ever read the book, there's a book by a gentleman, Joey Coleman. It's called Never Lose a Customer Again. And he's really instrumental. He set up he's part of the Zappos experience, which is if you bought from Zappos for their shoes, it's very memorable. And you guys did your own version of that. And that's something that we've done in our business too, is when we signed for our first property, we got this little care package of Memphis goodies, barbecues, seasoning, and I can't even remember what else was in there, but I remember the barbecue seasoning because it was really good. And it's just, it's that extra touch. You guys are very, like I said, white glove in how you're handling your clients, and you're leaving these very memorable experiences. You have very good, you've done a phenomenal job with staffing, and that all just leads to, that trust factor. Because I've not seen the properties that we have with you guys, and that goes over really well. There's constantly, as an entrepreneur, I'm constantly making decisions, and this is one of those things where it's okay, it's set it and forget it. I know I'm supposed to do this, but I don't have the time and cycles to get into the weeds. By my background, I used to be a nuclear engineer, so I could really get into stuff into the weeds. And I can't do it anymore with the 4 kids and my husband out to sea. So, I really appreciate that you guys are a very trusted business. The property management is off the charts, and you're very transparent, and that's the best case scenario for someone that's in the same boat as me.
Our reputation, credibility, and integrity is the most important thing to our family and all the people that work for us, and we work on that every single day. The touches and the things like that are it's not hard to do those things, and I think more businesses should think about doing them. And it's not hard to be successful in business if you do the right things. And again, I go back and I give all the credit to our people, because we have great people. We have great people in our sales department, in our IT department, in our property management, and customer service. And I'm going to forget somebody, and I'm going to get in trouble. Our buying department. And we just have really great people that understand what we're trying to do. We're trying to create an experience for you, our investors, that's like none other, that you will tell people about. And 50% of our business every month is new customers that come from people that are existing customers that referred them to us. And because people don't know, there's a lot of companies out there like us that people don't know anything about them. They're trying to start up and get going in this business, and nobody knows whether you can trust them or not. And so we take it real serious about the people that we have that give us the opportunity to serve them, and we take that very seriously. And this is a real important business to us, and we're all in, our families in here every day, and we don't take one thing for granted. And we want every single customer to have a great experience. The Zappos thing that you were talking about 7 or 8 years ago, I took 6 or 7 staff members with me, and we went to Zappos. Mm-hmm. We spent a day with Zappos in Las Vegas, and unbelievable organization, all about the client. When you walk in the door there, and they have a king chair there that every one of their clients come through there, take a picture. And we have a king chair here. If you ever come visit it with us, maybe seen some of the pictures. So it's all about that client and that experience, and them walking out the door and raving about the company or not. And every single survey that we get in comes across my desk right here, good, bad, or ugly. And we're not perfect. We have some that we have to do better on. But in our business as an entrepreneur, and we talked about, I don't worry about the 97% of the things we do right. I worry about how we can take the 3% that we don't do good and how we can do those better, and try to get that 2% down to, or 3% down to 2% and down to 1%, and just chasing excellence. And we listen a lot to our clients. I appreciate the comments that you made there. And believe me, our team, and we talk about it every single day in our meetings about how we can do better, how we can make the experience better for those 4 groups of people. So, well, thank you for the comments. Karin, what do you think? What's that one thing that kind of comes back to you all the time about REI?
Yeah, I have, when we first purchased, I think we had 3 or 4, only one of them hadn't been rented out, and it took a couple of months to get rented. And what I really appreciated during that time is that I would get a call every week, saying what they were doing to try to rent it, to try to generate. And they were telling me, how many people saw the place. And then I really didn't expect, when it did get rented out, that I think there was that you guys didn't take the first month commission, or there was some sort of credit that we were given. And I really wasn't expecting that. And so, I did appreciate that, because obviously not every single home is going to be rented out, and we expected that, so we weren't holding that against anyone. But I was just pleasantly surprised by how it was, they were constantly following up on it, and not just, leaving us in the cold. So that was my moment.
And in the room I'm sitting in right now is my conference room here, and I have 2 signs on the wall in here. One is our core values, and the number 1 core value is always do the right thing. We talk about that all the time. And the right to my right here on the wall is learn the necessity of details. And we work on details all the time. So I thank you very much for those compliments. And we had one of our clients a couple of weeks ago, and I'm going to have him on here in a couple of weeks, that went on and talked about, you guys may have seen the post, maybe not seen the post, but I went back and I did a whole 20-minute video about it, that he compared us to Publix and Walmart. And he lives down in Sarasota, where Publix is. And Jessica may not know who Publix, the big supermarket over the Southeast, probably one of the best chains in the company. And I, whenever I'm in Florida, I always go to Publix, usually just about every day, just to learn and watch and see how to run a business that's, to me, is as good as any business in the country, on how these people run this supermarket, probably like it was back in the 80s and 90s. And they're willing to take your groceries out to your car every time you have the option. It's just a phenomenal company about how they run their business. And so he gave us a compliment about that. And I went on and talked about it, because my background is really in the grocery business in Dallas for many years, until we got into real estate. But anyway, ladies, I want to say thank you on behalf of the Clothe Your Family. I know our audience are going to get a lot out of this today, because you guys really did a great job. You've been great guests on here for us. And we went a little longer than I thought, but I thank you for your time this afternoon. Thank you for being clients of ours, short-term and long-term. Your business with us is so appreciated, and we're so lucky to have you as clients, and hopefully that we can continue, and 6 years, 8 years become 12 years, and almost 1 year will become 5, 6 years. And on behalf of our family, we thank you very much, and you guys have a great day, and thank you for joining me today.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Take care. Thank you.
Have a good day. Thank you.